Number 3 in our preseason list, the Texas Longhorns. This is a team that has been trending upward for years. It obviously did not accomplish its ultimate goal last season, but continues to move forward. And I mean, there's a lot of really, really sound, good football teams, but these guys come back more intact, I think, right? If you're comparing them to some of these other teams in this list, the talent gap isn't all that different between this team and some of the other ones. But to bring back your starting quarterback, to bring back your play caller and your coordinator, basically all your coordinators, losing a defensive line coach is a big deal, but not the end of the world here. I think this shift in conference is the major question here. How much more difficult is the schedule? But from a roster standpoint, there's few teams in the country that have a better situation than Texas does coming into 2024.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you kind of hinted at it there, but it's sort of the upward trend of the program under Steve Sarkisian, 5 wins to 8 wins to the college football playoff. And the foundation is better than it has been at Texas in a long time. So as recruiting, the base line of talent has increased. Sarkisian's done a good job of developing that, all the off-field stuff. It feels like they are in a much better position to absorb some of these losses on the roster. Like they lost Byron Murphy, their Tavondre Sweat is gone on the defensive line. They brought in a transfer from Arizona that should help, but the rest of the team looks to be in pretty good shape. And the same thing that Texas does is what Georgia and Alabama do in the portal, which is they are very selective, but they are adding the right pieces that are high-end impact guys. And you saw that at receiver. 3 different transfers that are going to come in, fill the biggest void. Xavier Worthy's gone. A couple other, A.D. Mitchell. They're going to miss Jatavian Sanders at tight end. But they've got 2 quarterbacks who could start for both the teams in the country. They've got one of the best offensive lines. They're trending up. The move in conferences, I think it's certainly going to be a challenge. We'll see how they stack up when they play. They play Georgia next season. They play at Michigan early. So I think fascinating times for the Longhorns, but this is Texas back debate and all that. They just made the playoff. The roster's in good shape. They've added some pieces to absorb the personnel losses. I think they're very worthy of being ranked in the top 5 again.
I think ultimately the story that we had from other coaches around the Texas program anonymously in our magazine last year, which was they've gotten rid of the entitlement, sort of, right? The dysfunction, the chaos behind the scenes they've sort of coached that out of the program through leadership at the top, alignment through the board, and all the way down through the athletic director into the head coach and into the coaching staff and the players. And I think ultimately, if that is true, Stephen, and all of that stuff has been eliminated, then there is no reason for this team not to be in the playoff and be a top 5 team. Like on paper,
right,
the quarterback, the talent, the coach, it's all there. And so if all the garbage that can get in the way of a program is actually truly in fact gone, Texas is a top 5 team in the preseason, and no question.
Yeah, there's no limit on resources, roster talent. The development's going in the right direction. I think probably the most intriguing game for me in their schedule maybe isn't Georgia or Michigan. It's maybe that season finale against A&M.
Because
I mean, the last time these 2 teams played, it's been a long time. The last time was a great game, but man, just to get that rivalry back. But I think in the big picture sense, I think it kind of, like I said, became a meme of like, is Texas back and all that? Well, they just made the playoff. The trend line is going well. There's not a lot of reasons to be concerned here other than they are losing some guys, but they've done a good job of replacing them. So this space of top 10, there's sort of, you could move a couple teams up and down, but I think Texas is pretty settled right now in our top 5.
I think when you compare them to some of the other teams in this area, outside of Georgia 1 and Ohio State 2, there's very few teams that come back with more things intact. Depth of talent with coaching staff and a quarterback. In fact, I think you could argue, again, Texas at 2 is not out of the question, to be honest with you. But I don't think anyone belong. I think they're clearly the top 3. It is Georgia, Ohio State, and Texas. So that's my opinion, at least. But again, if all that garbage creeps back into the program because they had one big year of success, that's where too many cooks in the kitchen. People start to meddle. They have their own ideas. That's when you can get in your own way and cause problems. It doesn't feel like that's happening right now at Texas. It feels like they've sort of eliminated all of that permanently, at least.